Jiang began to stare at the girl with a serious look, and started wondering what he should do with her. At that moment, his body started emitting little Nine's poisonous mist, and several insects appeared behind him, staring at the girl, ready to attack. He approached her, started looking at the ground, and asked her to give him a good reason not to kill her. Upon seeing this, she panicked, quickly knelt before him, took out some gold coins, bowed her head before him, and explained that this was all the money she had on her. It was worth millions, practically her life. She was willing to give it to him in exchange for sparing her life. Zhang picked up a gold coin with his hand, started looking at the girl, and thought that she had some sincerity. But since she knew too much and also lied, he decided that it was best to eliminate her. She stood up, closed her eyes, raised one hand towards the sky, and swore by her name Luo Sando that if she lied to him, then the heavens could punish her with 5 thunders. Zhang was somewhat confused as he didn't know whether to believe that her name was Luo Sando, since she always told lies without thinking about the consequences. Luo Sando approached him, handed him her identification card, and looked at him with a sincere gaze. She explained to him that what she was saying was true. She didn't know what her parents were thinking when they gave her this name, but she really wasn't deceiving him. She also added that if he still didn't believe her, then he could look at her identification card. Zhang took her identification card, brought it closer, and upon looking more closely, he saw a chubby girl. Upon seeing this, he asked Luo Sando if she was sure that she was the same person as in the photo. She grabbed strands of her hair, started pretending to have 2 ponytails, closed her eyes, puffed up her cheeks, and explained that the photo had been taken 2 years ago when she hadn't grown yet and hadn't lost weight. Upon seeing the expression on her face, Zhang turned his head back and started laughing out loud. Upon witnessing this, the insects flying behind him became somewhat confused. Then, he turned his head towards her and with an intense gaze, explained to her that he still couldn't trust her, and didn't know if she would be able to keep the secret since, after all, this was something only the dead could do. Just before he could finish his sentence, she jumped, used the storage ring, causing a portal to appear. While she had one hand in the portal, with the other she took out a scroll and started approaching Zhang. With a serious look, she asked him not to worry about this. Zhang began to look at the scroll with a surprised expression and asked her what it was. She began to open the scroll using both hands, and she explained to him that this was a sealing scroll. Once she revealed the secret, she would be executed immediately. She was very afraid of dying, and for this reason she had taken out the scroll. At that moment, a system window appeared to inform Zhang that she swore to protect his secret with her own life. If she revealed this secret, then she would be executed. Upon seeing this, he was somewhat surprised as he couldn't believe that something like this existed in the world. Several seconds later, he picked up the scroll with his hand, closed one eye, started looking at it with the other, and decided to accept. Now that she had signed the confidentiality agreement, he decided not to kill her for now. Upon hearing this, he turned his head towards her and asked how much this scroll cost. She put her finger on her cheek, started looking at him, and revealed that its approximate value was around 10 million. Jiang tightly gripped the scroll, began to approach her, and with a furious look, he thought that this meant she had just used the only valuable thing she had in the storage ring. She thought she was going to die, so she started shaking her hands and told him that if he accompanied her home, then her parents would treat him well and give him even more rewards. Zhang turned his back on her, started to walk away, and explained that tomorrow morning he had to go to the night watch, so he couldn't waste any more time. After saying this, he wished her good luck. She stood up, and while she was watching him slowly move away, she caught his attention and asked him to take her home, since her house was much closer than the night watch headquarters. There was a teleportation station near her house, and she assured him that he would arrive on time. Although at first he refused, later he decided to listen to her, and several hours later they arrived at the Lu family mansion. This mansion was beautiful and very large, almost like a castle. At the same time, inside the mansion, there were a lot of hooded men prostrated before a woman who was sitting on her throne. A man approached her and informed her about what had happened to her daughter. Upon hearing this, She was shocked as she didn't know how this could be possible. The Zhao family not only stole and killed, but they were also going too far with this lie. Seeing that she was furious, the man asked her to calm her anger towards him, as he was a wretched person who had caused her suffering. Several minutes later, Luo Sando entered the room, approached her mother, sat beside her, rested her head on her knees and started crying. Her mother placed her hand on her head and then began to look at her subordinates with a furious gaze. She decided definitively to do something against the Zhao family. Her husband approached her, looked at her intently, extended his hands to the sides and in a serious voice asked her to calm down since the most important thing was that Luo Sando had returned safe and sound. He also added that the Zhao family was a powerful family in the country, and they couldn't mess with them being simple merchants. Jiang stayed silently observing and thought that her real name was Luo Sando. Her father turned his body towards Jiang, handed him a black card, closed his eyes and with a smile thanked him for saving their daughter. He also asked him not to give rid of this black card. The mother turned her head towards him, closed her eyes and with a pleasant smile told him that he was their benefactor. She had prepared a meal for him so that he could eat peacefully, and then leave using their teleportation, which was very fast. Jiang took the black card, closed his eyes and with a smile told them that he wasn't going to eat, but at that moment his stomach started growling. He turned red, put his hand behind his head and with a smile decided to eat a little. Upon seeing this, her father pointed out the place where the food was and decided to organize it immediately, while on the other side her mother put her hand near her face, closed her eyes and began to smile. The best chefs in the Luo family prepared the food. In several minutes, Jiang ate several dishes until he stacked them one on top of another to form a column. One of the waiters who was bringing another dish approached him and upon seeing this, he became somewhat confused and surprised at the same time. While Jiang had one hand resting on the table, and with the other was holding a piece of meat thigh, he thought that as the number of insects increased, his appetite also became greater. Beside him, Luo Sando was sitting. She turned her head towards him and with a smile asked him not to rush and eat slowly. Next to her were seated her mother and father, who simply closed their eyes and with a joyful smile silently watched Jiang. Jiang started eating even more. She began to look at him and couldn't help but blush and be somewhat surprised. Her mother, who was enjoying a cup of tea, explained to her father that their daughter said Jiang belonged to the creation class and had divine rank. For her, he was very strange because she didn't know how he had been able to save their daughter from the hands of the Zhaoyao family. Her father put his hand under his chin, started looking at Jiang and explained to her that although their daughter didn't want to say it, he was sure that Jiang had hidden abilities and wasn't as useless as he seemed. He also added that he was handsome. Both began to look into each other's eyes and with a smile, they thought that if he could help them fight against the Zhaoyao family and protect their daughter for her entire life, then he could be the perfect person. Her mother approached Jiang and with a pleasant smile asked him if he had a girlfriend. She also added that in their family, Sando also didn't have a boyfriend. Her hidden profession was also quite good. Besides being an expert in business, she could also be a financial manager. Her father stood behind him, gave him a thumbs up and explained Sando's body was also very sexy because she had measurements of 36, 24, 36. He also added that they made a perfect couple, and he had even thought of names for their future children. Jiang, who was drinking a glass of water, left it on the table, spit out the water and was shocked. Upon hearing her parents' proposal, she began to blush like a tomato and wonder what was happening. Without thinking for a second, Jiang ran out and thanked them for their hospitality. He left with the excuse that he was full and still had something urgent to do. Seeing this, her father asked him to wait a little longer as they wanted to talk to him. Sando approached her father, put her hand over his mouth and asked him to be quiet. Her mother turned her head towards her and started looking at her with a disappointed look. She sat on the chair. Her father approached her and said that their son-in-law had left. He also added that as his wife, she should go say goodbye to him. Her mother approached them and asked her not to worry since her father had the location of the black card. Wherever he went, they would follow him. Upon hearing this, she grabbed her knees with both hands, closed her eyes, and with a scream asked them to be quiet. She began to look down and started imagining Jing. She thought that although he was handsome and strong, he was also terrifying. And even though he was truly terrifying, there was no doubt that he was handsome and strong. At the same time, in the Jiu family, Jiu Wanchun, the head of the family, learned that his grandson Kunwu had died. Upon hearing this news, he couldn't help but become furious. With an angry look on his face, he ordered his subordinates to thoroughly investigate the murder. He didn't know who had done it and believed that Zhu Jianggu was responsible, so he ordered his other grandson to immediately send someone to investigate him. While a man was prostrated before him, another man named Zhu Baihang, who had one hand in his pants pocket, began to approach his grandfather. He extended his other hand to the side and explained that Kunwu was already over 20 years old and had only reached level 30 of the second transformation, so he was useless. After saying this, he asked him what was lamentable about the death of a useless person and told his grandfather that it wasn't worth getting so angry about it. Jiu Yuanchan, who was sitting in his chair with both hands resting on his knees, started looking at Jiu Baihang and told him that Kunwu was truly mediocre, nothing compared to him. Therefore, it wasn't a pity that he was dead. He also added that he was the grandson of him. Even to hit a dog, you had to look at who its owner was. He would like to know who in the country had enough courage to kill someone from the Jiu family. Upon hearing this, Jiu Baihang began to smile, extended his hand forward, and his hand started emitting an evil energy. He asked his grandfather not to worry about this trivial matter since after finishing the Tanjiao camp issue, it didn't matter who was guilty, he would take care of it in place of him. At the same time, Zhang went to the night watch office. He opened the door and entered where Jai Gang and several other people were. He turned his body to one side and was somewhat surprised to see that Zhang had arrived. He began walking towards them, putting his hand behind his head, introducing himself as Zhang Chen, the new member of the night watch. He couldn't help but wonder why there were so many people here. Zai Gang approached him, placed his hand on his shoulder, closed his eyes, extended the other hand to the side, and with a smile told him that they had been waiting for him. Upon hearing this, Jiang was somewhat surprised. Zai Gang decided to introduce him to the new key members of their group. The first one was Yu Ziyu, a level 45 healer who was in the second stage. She used to be the youngest, but now he had taken away that position from her. Upon hearing this, she put her hand near her mouth, started looking at Zhang, and couldn't help but blush and think that he was very handsome. This was the first time she had worked with someone so good-looking. The second member was Duan Feng, a level 49 archer who was also in the second stage. He didn't talk much but was quite conceited. He put his hand on his hip, placed the other one near his forehead, and with a smile told him that he was delighted to meet him. The third member was Qiu Bailing, a level 49 warrior. Although his body was small, he was strong and a great talker. He approached Zhang, stood in front of him, closed his eyes, and with a smile explained to him that having a professional member of divine level was an achievement enough to boast about for a lifetime. The fourth member was a woman named Jane Tang, a master who was in the third stage. She was level 61 and belonged to the fire class. She was also a subcommander. She approached them, placed her hands on Qiu Bailing and Zhang's heads, began to caress them, and with a pleasant smile asked them to call her Aunt Tang in the future. She assured them that they would have meat to eat every day. With a pleasant smile, Jiang introduced himself as a humble awakened from the creation class. He asked how he could deserve so much enthusiasm from them. Deep down, he knew that even if it was clear, even if it was of divine level, the spiritual master's creation class was not well regarded by people. Ji Gang put one hand in his pocket, extended the other to the side, and told him that there was nothing wrong with being of the divine level spiritual master creation class. He asked him not to pay attention to idiots who had no good eye and only said nonsense. They all trusted him. Jane Tang put her hands on her hips, turned her head towards him, and with a smile told him that he was special because he had chosen to be one of them. The night watch. From now on, this would be his home. Ji Gang approached him, put his arm on his shoulder, and decided to talk about the main issue. He extended his hand to one side and with a serious look, explained that if he wanted to enroll in the training camp, he had to have a level higher than 20. He didn't know if Jiang was. With a calm look, Jiang revealed to him that now he was level 17. Upon hearing this, he couldn't help but be somewhat surprised to see that he had changed job just 3 days ago and was already level 17. He grabbed Jiang by the shoulders, closed his eyes, started laughing out loud, and thought that he had not made a mistake in choosing him. He believed that Jiang truly had divine talent, and it wouldn't be difficult for him to advance 3 levels in 3 days. He decided to enroll him in the Tanjiao Genius Camp right away. Jai Gang opened his eyes, turned his head to the side and saw everyone else staring at him with a serious expression. He put his hand in his pocket, turned his body towards Jiang, and with a serious look asked him if he had gotten into trouble with someone very dangerous in the last 3 days, as there was an unknown 3rd-grade master investigating his whereabouts using their divine class. He turned his head to the side, started looking at the ground, and upon hearing that a 3rd-grade master was investigating him, he couldn't help but wonder if it could be a member of the Zhao family. This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part,